The night is dark. The moon is late. This time last night, this exact time, I made my first of the Moonrise Monologue videos. The moon was inching up. It had already come up a degree or two above the horizon. This is looking out south. That's traffic on I-5. I've got all the lights out because I want just the outdoor lights. By light we lose light, says, is it Rinaldo in Love's Labour's Lost? Puck in A Midsummer Night's Dream says, I'll put a girdle around the earth in 40 minutes. What a line for any character. I've been waiting just about that long for the moon to do this, kind of sitting here watching some Royal Shakespeare Company workshop videos, thinking about Shakespeare, thinking about drama, and sort of this whole week it's been study of Macbeth. Last night this morning I wrote an essay called On Macbeth. These dark tidings, and we I think Shakespeare would agree, we live in dark times. I mean, they had dark times. They had the plague. They had wars. Fevers and plagues, and lots of horrid, plaguing superstitions about beasts and demonology and witchcraft, and that's kind of what fed into the writing of Macbeth around 1605, when Shakespeare was tapped by the very Catholic James I of Scotland, who took over after the death of Queen Elizabeth I in 1603. And so Shakespeare was tapped, or commissioned, if you will, by the very superstitious, witch-hating James I. Really kind of a reprehensible, pig-faced man, if you look him up in history books. And what is the Standard Bible? The King James Version, 1611. Is it a coincidence that standardized Bible was created during Shakespeare's lifetime, and that he was pretty much I don't think he was a courtier or a close friend of James's, but James patronized Shakespeare. He was a patron. So he sort of had to indulge the king. His religious loyalties were there. They were both Catholic. Did Shakespeare have a hand in the Gunpowder Plot of 1605, that same year? I believe that's the same year. I have to check it. That Macbeth was written. I think it may have come out in 1606, something like that. But that Gunpowder Plot of Guy Fawkes, the plot to blow up Parliament, was Shakespeare radical? That radical of a Catholic? Certainly he knew the Stuart clan, who were the ones, the Catholic Stuarts, who were behind the plot to blow up Parliament. Anyway, as we wait here for the moon, which is not showing its face to us, at least here in the Rogue Valley, there's lots of dark clouds out there. Those are the driveway lights down at the main house. But very interesting to look into the history of Shakespeare and the writing of the King James Bible. And I'm convinced he was also tapped probably by the Pope via King James the First, to doctor up some verses or write up some flowery verse. There are parts of the Bible, as you read it, that are have more flowery import or are more poetic. Something to consider. Even as to think about a man who could do that for the Catholics, for the papists, as they were known, those in support of Rome and the Pope, do some punching up of the books of the Bible, and could also write a play like Macbeth. My second favorite in Shakespeare's 37 plays of his folio. It's this bloody intrigue. I mean, there's nothing bloodier or deadlier in his canon. It's certainly a mousetrap to catch the consciences of those who abuse power and kill on their way to getting it. Murder in order to get it. And we can, it's harder to identify those types. They do a lot of it in secret and they sort of kill their way to the top, but we can't really name names, but we know they're there. We know they do bad things. These are the modern day Macbeths. Interesting when Lady Macbeth dies near the end in Act 5. I believe it's scene 4 or 5. And she throws herself off the tower, 100 feet below, dashes herself on the rocks below the keep, the castle keep. And Macbeth is given the news, and he says, she should have died hereafter. There was a time when such a word was proper, something like that, meaning the word died, or that she died. And my interpretation is he's thinking, well, if she died before all this kind of goading me into killing the Duncan, who was the rightful sovereign of Scotland, who deigned to visit them at the castle, at the Macbeth castle, sort of goaded him, coerced him into his bloody deed of murdering the King of Scotland. So he's thinking she should have died hereafter, but there was such a time when it was proper before, either way before or after this. But my life's a bloody mess, and he contends with it. And in that final soliloquy of 10 lines, he says, tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day, till the very last syllable of recorded time, and all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, brief candle. Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player who struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. 'Tis a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, but signifying Nothing. I don't think I captured enough the contempt and the anger that Macbeth it must have had, and he was smoldering at that point. He was contemptuous of even his own life and all those who didn't have the bloody temerity to attempt what he'd attempted. He is the most pitiless murderer, maybe, in all of Shakespeare. He's really cut loose from. He's cut his own branch off the tree of humanity, and he's sitting there in the mud with himself, in the muck, in the bloody mud. And he's just this grim. He's grimly sizing up in total black despair the end of his life. And that final soliloquy in Act 5, Scene 5 is really his final word as he. And then he discovers that the one of no woman born. Malcolm explains to him that he was ripped from his mother. He wasn't born the traditional way. It was basically a C-section. But he was so confident earlier in that act, at the beginning of Act 5, that when the weird sisters, the witches, said, only when Birnam Wood comes to Dunsinane, Castle Dunsinane, shall Macbeth be undone. And he's sort of laughing arrogantly. A forest can't come to my castle. Well, he didn't know that Macduff and Macduff's army, Macduff almost prophetically, or almost hearing the weird sisters talk, tells his soldiers to cut large boughs down from the pine trees and to carry them in front of them as they march on the castle. And they leave their horses behind and march up to the castle. And behind these trees, and they're disguised, and it's pretty ingenious. Anyway, what are we at here? 12 minutes and no sign of the moon out there. It's really weird. Just some lights out there. Home up in the East Hills. So anyway, there's my Moonrise Monologue without the moon. No moon monologue on Macbeth, which is still on my mind, although all the other Shakespeare plays are spinning in my head too, and the science of the moon, the light we see, the light that's reflected, deflected. That line struck me as I listened to this Royal Shakespeare Company workshop just now, and he says, "By light we lose light." Interesting line. Okay, that's also harkens kind of to the moon, but that's all for now. Most of this has been blurry for some reason. I don't know why. This stupid I need to get a different camera. This Nokia phone is substandard, but 14 minutes, we'll call that good for now. March 27, 2024.